Good morning, everyone.
Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentiles teaching you the tips and tricks.
Good morning, very good morning. How are you guys today? Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everybody. Do you guys hear and see me clearly? Good morning, Atul. Can you hear and see me clearly? If you could quickly confirm that, we shall start with our session very, very quickly. So I see you after a few days because every Tuesdays and Thursdays we have our editorial classes here. And since today is a Tuesday, I see you again. And in today's session, what are we going to be doing? Let's have a look at it very, very quickly. So I've got two articles in today's session. And one article is from the Hindu. The other article is from the New York Times. Okay. So these are the two sources from where I've got the articles today. I'll be asking you some questions from the New York Times article. No, this article is not from the Hindu. It's from the Indian Express. And a lot of you guys do not read Indian Express. So I've got a very, very, very interesting article. We'll start with the Indian Express article only. It's a very light-hearted article. I am absolutely great. I hope all of you are doing absolutely fine. You're working hard. You're reading. So before I proceed, let me ask all of you a little question. Preds, I had replied to the previous two videos under your comment. I have checked both of your comments. I have replied. And I think Roosters, your comment as well. Before I proceed, एक question मुझे पूछने दो. Reading कर रहे हो regularly? Are you guys reading या आप लोग सिर्फ मेरी वीडियो पे dependent हो? Are you guys reading regularly? Are you guys reading any of the newspapers? If yes, what are you reading? What source are you reading from? I'd like to know that from you. बताओ मुझे कहां से पढ़ते हो, क्या पढ़ते हो, रीडिंग क्या कर रहे हो? I'd like to know that from you guys before I show you the articles. What do you read? Where do you read from? Atul, very good. Where do you read from? Hindu, Suraj, very good. Economic Times, very good. Thank you, Fardeen. I'm obliged. Thank you. The Hindu Daily. Okay, cool. Indian Express, cool. Devansh, फिर तो आपने article पढ़ा हुआ होगा. Okay. Devansh, although I'll expect you to read more of, Aeon. Yes, exactly. That's what I wanted to say, Sai. Very good. I expect you to read the Aeon at least twice a week. Okay. And the editorials from the Hindu. I expect you to do that. Even if you read the Hindu or the Indian Express or the Economic Times, please do not miss out on the Aeon. Please don't miss out on this. Guardian, New York Times से कोई article important है जो आप miss out कर दोगे वो मैं cover up कर लूंगी. Aeon, please don't miss out on it because ये बहुत long articles होते हैं and it's a very, very good source for reading comprehensions in CAT and other MBA entrance examinations. So don't miss out on reading Aeon. Weekly, weekend पे fix कर लो 2 days. Okay, and then you can read articles from the Aeon. You can choose carefully the topics that you're not comfortable with और उनको पढ़ो Aeon में से because that will aid to your understanding of a variety of topics. Eclectic reading as we call it. ठीक है? So Aeon के articles miss नहीं करना है. DNA. Indrajit, I think I would expect you to stop reading that. ठीक है? I think आपको थोड़ा सा graduate करना पड़ेगा over something that's little more tricky. Okay? Because आप जैसे जैसे while you graduate, while you not graduate from your college, while you graduate in your preparation, you need to be reading more difficult articles. Okay? So please read from a variety of sources. I've got 2 articles. Vocabulary very, very less, not a lot of words. We'll be discussing the tone, the summary, and a lot of inferences that we can draw from the 2 articles that I've bought. So let's quickly start with the articles that I have today. the vocabulary rather from the articles that I've bought. So slide number 1, ye hai list of the vocabulary that we have, the only list. Oh, take care, panda baby. Recover soon. All right. Hi, Vijay. Chalo, let's start with our vocabulary very quickly. The only slide that we have in today's articles, but बहुत सारा inference है, okay? So mundane is monotony, repetitiveness, boring, dull. एक ही चीज बार बार होती रहती है. That's a mundane schedule. His mundane, humdrum existence, a very regular one. Nothing new, nothing exciting, and nothing interesting. Very, very boring is mundane. That's the first word for today's class. The second word is snobby. We call people snobbish. What kind of people are snobby? People who think that they're really superior to others and everybody else is inferior to them. मेरा टेस्ट सबसे सुपीरियर है, मैं सबसे सुपीरियर हूं, मेरा नॉलेज सबसे सुपीरियर है. Having that kind of a negative feeling is snobby. The musical snob, he thinks his musical taste is better than everybody else. That's a snob. That kind of a person is a snob. How to prepare for vocabulary? That's a very good question, Devansh. Devansh, I will address this question. Yes. So, what do you think? What kind of words come up in the examination? See, CAT does not give you direct questions on vocabulary. Other examinations like NMAT, ZAT, those examinations that give you direct questions, what kind of words are they? Any random word picked up from the dictionary? Are these asked in the examinations? No, they aren't. The words that come up in the examination as direct vocabulary questions are called high frequency words. What are these high frequency words? High frequency words are those words that we use regularly, that we see regularly, that we read regularly. Like these words. Precariousness is a very high frequency word that can come up as a question easily in the examination. So your source has to be where you can find the high frequency words. Sitting with a dictionary randomly opening a page will not help you. Let me jot down a list of sources where you can work on your vocabulary of high frequency words. The most important source is reading newspapers, editorials, and finding out words that you do not know the meaning of. Every day, 5 words can be picked up from the editorials. Please make notes of them. Please make a diary with you. I still have a diary with me. I've been teaching for the last 12 years. I still have a diary with me. I keep working on foreign words that will aid my understanding, like Latin and Greek and German phrases. Okay? Like carte blanche maybe. So, pick up 5 to 10 words every day from an editorial that you do not know of. Jot them down because revision is supremely important for you to retain these words. You can just take a screenshot of the words that I give you and keep revising them as well. So that's the first source. The second source is downloading any list of high frequency words, like barons maybe. The 333 list of high frequency words, barons. Any list of high frequency words. Word power made easy also has a list of high frequency words towards its end. So you can certainly solve word power made easy by Norman Lewis. You could solve that as well. Okay, so these are the 3 sources on which you can work if you wish to improve your vocabulary manifolds. Just remember, you need to be revising them again and again and again. So weekly thrice maybe, set days, half an hour for revising. You can do that as well, Indranil. You could do that as well. And then, see, something that I trust is this one. The list of high frequency words that's there towards the end of this book is very nice. You just randomly need to pick 5 words, 10 words daily and keep revising them. Keep jotting it down. Keep the book with you handy wherever you go. You're waiting for the class to start. Quickly look at the words. The more you repeat, the more chances are there that you're able to retain the meaning of the words. And apart from that, solving more and more questions. And needless to say, please solve many, many questions on vocabulary. Attend our YouTube sessions. I'm sure Nikita takes a lot of sessions on vocabulary. Please attend them. Okay, so that's about vocabulary. I hope I was able to answer your Atul by Norman Lewis. I'll write that down. It's a red thick book, a very popular book. Norman Lewis. Okay, that's the writer for What Power Made Easy. You could buy that book as well. I hope I was able to answer your question satisfactorily. Okay. Yes. Humdrum is a monotony. Regularity में जो चीज होती रहती है, Prats. That's humdrum, okay? Boring is humdrum. Alright, so that's the answer for vocabulary. Keep repeating, keep solving questions. That's the way to retain them. Linking it to stories, linking it to contexts will help you know the connotation of the word. Connotations are very, very important. Like snobby has a negative connotation. So once you know the connotation, eliminating options becomes very, very easy. And math has super easy vocabulary. If you work even a bit on vocabulary, you can easily get through in maths vocabulary. Next word is fripperies. Fripperies is unnecessarily decorating something. Need nahi hai, simple rakh sakte ho, but you still decorate it. The strictly business building with not a hint of frippery. Simple building, simple outlook and simple appearance. Not a lot of decoration, architecture, dress, language. बहुत simple जो होता है वो fripperies का opposite होता है. Fripperies is with a lot of unnecessary decoration and show off. That's not needed. Yes, Devansh, please start solving that book, okay? So that's fripperies. Next word, precariousness. Precariousness is looming in danger, almost about to collapse. बहुत ही dangerous situation में होना. The precariousness of a cup placed on the top of a plinth. It will just slip. It's in a dangerous position, almost about to collapse or be damaged is the precariousness of the situation. I hope you get this word as well. And the last word is scapegoat. Scapegoat is such a common word. हम इतनी बार देखते हैं न्यूज़पेपर में ये वर्ड. If you read the newspaper regularly, scapegoat आपको जरूर दिखेगा. Scapegoat बलि का बकरा, जिस पे आप सारा ब्लेम डाल देते हो, है ना? जैसे so there are a lot of mistakes, wrongdoings people do, but there's one person जिसपे हम blame डाल देते हैं. Putting blame on a person without any mistake of theirs is a scapegoat. We see so many examples of scapegoats around us, specifically if you work in an organization. Exactly, Atul, that's Bali ka Bakra. You would see scapegoats a lot. Okay, give me a second, please. All right, so that's the slide, the only slide for today. Please take a screenshot very, very quickly and keep revising them. Okay. Also, before I proceed, needless to say, I hope you know that merely sitting and clearing a written test, an objective test, is not the way to get into your dream MBA college. You have to sit for multiple colleges, interviews, sometimes GDs, sometimes other criterias as well. If you wish to perform really well in interviews specifically, if you talk to me about the kind of questions that are asked after CAT's examination in interviews by IIMs, they check a lot of your GK. Please do not take your GK lightly. Please form an opinion, a non-biased opinion about what's happening around the world. You need to be aware of what's happening around the world. I deliberately abstain from taking any article that talks about a debatable current issue, but I'll start doing that more often now on, because we also need to know what's happening around the world. We need to frame an opinion about that as well. That might help me clear my GD as well as my PI. It's going to help me have answers to the questions. And that's why reading editorials beyond Aeon articles are also very, very important. I hope you are doing that. Self written examination clear करने से selection नहीं होगा. Remember that. Back to our article. But before I show you the article, if you're targeting CAT 2022, a comprehensive program course has been launched. If you wish to be trained under serial 9900 percentilers and people of that sort, the best in the industry, speak to a counselor on this number right away. Enroll yourself as early as possible, because the sooner you enroll, the better your chances are of getting through the examination swiftly. Let's look at the article, everyone. फ्रिपरीज फिर से समझाऊं? फ्रिपरीज कुछ नहीं है बच्चे, फ्रिपरीज है अननेसेसरीली डेकोरेट कर देना, शो ही बना देना, बहुत ही जैसे लैंग्वेज है, ठीक है, मैं आपको समझाती हूँ। देखो, एक सिंपल लैंग्वेज होती है और एक होती है लैंग्वेज फुल ऑफ फ्रिपरीज। सिंपल लैंग्वेज इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड, लैंग्वेज फुल ऑफ फ्रिपरीज वो होती है लैंग्वेज दैट्स फुल ऑफ फिगर ऑफ स्पीच। डायरेक्टली नहीं बोलना, घुमा फिरा के ब्यूटिफाई करके बोलना, something that's a lot decorated, that's not necessary maybe, but to beautify it, to show something, is full of fripperies. I hope you understand that. Okay, let's move to the article. First, I'll show you the article from the Indian Express. It's a short article, but it's a very, very interesting one and a funny one. I'm sure you'll have a very good time reading this. Okay, so start karte hain first article. Read the page, send me done when you're done. Yes, Indranil, perfect synonym. Done? Simple. $1,600 for a non-waterproof umbrella. Who would buy that? People who are snobs, people who are obsessed with only brands and not utility. And then after this umbrella was launched, the internet went crazy. Yeah, the internet went absolutely crazy because they thought, what's the use of spending a $1,600 amount on a non-waterproof umbrella? Because it was associated with luxury. Okay, but then luxury with so much cost. And you see this line, it's a $1,600 question. Why would somebody want to buy something of that sort? Still want to spend so many dollars? You have so much money, you can spend it on charity maybe. So it created a lot of ruckus. Yes, snobby, showy people. Exactly. So आगे देखते हैं क्या होता है. Read the page, everyone. Send me done when you're done with this page. A parasol, Atul, is an umbrella that only protects you from the sun and not rain. Now you see the beauty of this line. It says, we shop at discount stores. If there is a discount, we would rush to it. And we would buy things unnecessarily, sometimes even if it's on discount. Yet, Once you slap a high-end logo on anything, maybe Gucci, maybe any LV, any other brand, a high-end logo, even a simple, useless, repetitive thing that's found in almost every household can be sold with an exorbitant price. So the deal is how to make your product fetch a good price. You make it a luxury product. There's a lot of uh, conspiracy theory that goes behind the pricing of diamonds. Have you heard of the conspiracy theories behind the pricing of diamonds? They say they've been deliberately, they're not rare, they've deliberately been made a luxury by pricing them higher, by just making them priced as an eye-watering one. It might almost make somebody cry. So you wish to get good price for your product, just make it a luxury one. And that's exactly why such skateboards are so expensive that you might actually want to keep them in your bank locker in a vault. Or maybe baseball caps without any logo, yet they are supremely expensive. Okay, last page. Here you go. You will love this page. Absolutely, Atul. Absolutely. Putting a urinal upside down and making it a piece of art. Is that a joke? What is he trying to do? What did our Indian kings, Sun King ko bhul jao, our Indian kings, what did they try to do? A lot of fripperies that were unnecessary. Now, the point is, what is the gist of the passage? What is the author trying to tell us through these examples? The article is supremely easy. The language is pretty plain. But the question is, yes, this page is brilliant. What is the purpose of writing this page, this article? The gist in one line. Answer that. Main idea. And then calling the urinal a fountain. What's the main idea in one line? Quick, people, quick. What's the gist of the passage, the theme of the passage, the main idea of the passage? क्यों लिखा author ने ये passage? People are spending money lavishly over something very, very ordinary. Is it about, okay, Prats, let me ask you a counter question. Is my article about people spending lavishly, or is my article about the products being priced unnecessarily? Okay, Atul? Because people still might not buy that, Prats, yet the products may be priced that way. Think about it again. All those people who are still wondering what the main idea is, we were discussing it in the last class that if you would want a class on main idea and the tone of the author, because we keep asking these questions again and again in the class, we are still in the process of planning, and very, very likely next week you would have classes by me on how to identify the main idea of the passage and the tone of the author. Okay, so I've already planned it. Very likely next week these should happen. People spend an absurd amount. Sai, again, is the article about people spending, Or is it about the products being priced that way? What is the article focusing more on? Many people go crazy to show off, which raise questions on their mental health. Yes, it's the article is about the products being priced in an exorbitant manner just to make it a luxury. People might still not buy that, yet you try to make a brand by putting a tag on it. It's about the products that are highly priced. It's not about people buying it. It's more about the products and their pricing. Okay? Okay, Priya? And they call it luxury. Exactly. So that's the gist of the passage, all right? And the tone certainly is sarcastic. Do you see the sarcasm? The fountain. It's a joke using a urinal. And then here as well, umbrella. You call it an umbrella. What does it do? It does not protect you from the rain. What does it do? It's pure sarcasm. Rather, you can call it criticism as well. That's the tone of the author here. Okay. So this was a simple article, a breath of fresh air from the usual serious articles that we take. And now it's time to move on to the serious article again. Okay. So I'll take you to the article from the New York Times. It's a little long, but we are going to be practicing skimming in this article. We'll read each page. I'll be asking you questions that you have to answer. So ready everyone for the second article? Here we go with the second article. Here it is. The internet is broken. How do we fix the broken internet? Why is the internet broken? Internet connection poor? Is that what they're referring to? Let's see. Read the page. Answer this question. Yes, Neha, you're absolutely right. Answer the question. What's the figure of speech used in the page? You remember the figure of speech? Onomatopoeia, personification, alliteration, simile, metaphor, synecdoche, uh, and then oxymoron. Remember these? What's the figure of speech that's used here? Figure of speech. Any answers, anyone? The figure of speech that's been used here is, I'll show you. Where do you find arteries? You find them in your body. Exactly, Atul. It is a metaphor. Very good, Atul. It is a metaphor. Here, the optical fibers and the hose that carries it is compared to a major artery. Like the heart has one, like your body has one. This is also an artery. Without an artery, possibly this age cannot function. We as a body are dependent on that artery. It's a metaphor. Exactly, it's a metaphor. So the artery here is the hose that has glass and that has optical fibers and it carries beams of light. It ensures that we are provided with high-speed internet and then you and I can have a good class together. That's the figure of speech. अभी तक नहीं समझ में आया why is the internet broken? देखते हैं why is the internet broken. Next page. Read this and then I'll ask you a question. Read the whole page, everyone. Now my question is, why was the contours of earlier networks followed? Why was the contours of earlier networks followed? Infer this from the paragraph that you see. Why did they shadow the sea routes of the previous centuries? Answers? Familiarity? Lesser risk? Absolutely. And then these were the routes that were already established. Yes, exactly. They were safer and the routes were already established. Why do you invest in a newer route if you don't know what's going to come up ahead? They were easy to follow. Simple. And that's exactly why they followed the contours of the earlier networks. For example, the Silk Route. It was a known way. Exactly. We still don't know why is the internet broken. It's so this all these paragraphs you see, they are still a part of the premise. I keep using this word a lot in my classes. Do you guys know what a premise is? I hope you know that. Send me a yes if you do. Exactly, Neha. And then there's another hidden thing that we could infer is that since these routes were already populated and these routes were already the ones that had things going on the same way and there was a lot of business there, it was easier for them to follow this route and get business here as well. Okay, now tell me, I hope you know what a premise is. All of this is still framing the foundation of the main argument. You don't know what that is? I'll explain this. Guys, ये बहुत जरूरी है to understand premise क्या होता है एक पैसेज में, ठीक है? So I'll explain this और उसके बाद हम आगे पढ़ेंगे और हम हर क्लास में ये तीन चीजें डिस्कस करेंगे. Okay? See, let me show you something. So when I build a house, look at this everyone in complete attention here, okay? Sai, you can stop your meetings right now. When I build a house, the first thing that I make before I start making a house, the first thing that I make is the base, the foundation. Okay? The foundation. That's the first thing I make. And then I start building the walls and the roof. Once the house is made, can you see the foundation? You cannot. The foundation is hidden. This foundation is an assumption. And then you start building the walls. The walls are what you see, and the roof is what you see. The walls is basically a part of your premise. These are the pillars on which your roof, the one that protects you, will land. The pillars are your premise. And then ultimately, the covering on the top is your argument. You can also call it a conclusion. If this is shaken, the argument collapses. If this is shaken, the argument collapses. But instead of one example as a premise, I can use another example as well. That means these two form the basic foundation of the argument that the author would make. A premise, now let me talk about premise in detail. A premise is basically an explanation given to you in the passage so that the author can draw a main conclusion or the argument. What is the most important part of your question, of your passage? A conclusion or the argument is. This will only and only be the supporting factors like your pillars. Instead of one, I might use something else as well. Exactly. Now, why assumption? I'll give you an example of an assumption. Atul, understand this. So, when the author said this one, the author, where was it? Yes, the author said the contours of earlier networks were followed. The author assumed that you knew what a silk route or a silver route or a spice route or a slave route was. The author assumed it that you knew it. If you did not know it, he would have explained what these routes are. He knew that you would know what these routes are and these fiber optics would follow the same route. He doesn't have to say, मुझे पता है, तुमको पता है कि ये routes क्या है, इसलिए मैं नहीं समझा रहा. He doesn't have to say that. It's a hidden thing. They are unsaid things in the passage. These are what assumptions are. Okay? So I hope you understand what an assumption is. These are unsaid things. Premise is data, information that forms the base that will, or the pillars that will lead us to supporting the main argument. We still don't see what the main argument here is. The story still goes on, that there are fiber opticals under the sea that they follow the same route. We still don't know where the main argument is going on. Let's go to the next page and let's try to figure out what the main argument here could be. Read the page and send me a down. Tell me if it still is the premise or have we come to a main argument here. Is it still a premise or there's an argument presented here? Yes, there is an argument. And the argument is that the internet is making the world smaller but worse. And then this argument is explained here. How is it making it worse? By fake news, surveillance, invasion of our privacy, exploitation of our app-based workers, proliferation of right-wing propaganda on social media are a few things how the world is becoming worse. And that's the argument that was presented in the beginning of the passage. The internet is broken and we need to fix it. So it has its own boons, but it has its own disadvantages as well. That's the argument. Absolutely. Smaller and worse. Now you see, while you were reading this page, you should have stopped right here. Polling suggests by whatever polling says, what percent says what, I know what my argument is. If I'm reading a longer passage, I can't be focusing on unnecessary data like that. If I keep doing that, I can never read faster. I know my argument that it's making the world worse. This poll and the data will suggest the same thing, reiterate the same argument. I get the argument, I can absolutely skip the last few lines. It was unnecessary. And that's exactly how you skim. Remember that. Skimming is very, very important. You should not have read that part. Did you do that? I hope you understand how to skim. Let's move on to the next page. Okay. Now, if the internet is broken, how do we fix it? How do we solve the problem of making the world a worse place to live in through internet? The answer that predominates among American policymakers tends to circle two main themes. Skim through the page. Don't read every line. Skim through the page. Friends, I'll answer your question. Read the page first. Skim through it. Exactly, Atul. अतुल पढ़ना नहीं चाहिए था. Learn how to skim. Skim. If you were skimming, you should have done reading this by now. There are two things according to the author. It's a pretty objective passage. Two things according to the author that can fix the internet. The first, setting new rules, and the second, reducing the market power of big firms. For example, Facebook, limit their powers. Instagram, limit their powers. Twitter, sorry, Mr. Musk, reduce their powers. That's all. If you understand reducing powers and new rules, you don't have to read these parts. Now the question is, ma'am, what if a question comes up from the part that I leave in? You understand the concept. If a question comes up on a data, you go back, confirm the answer and mark it. How long should that take? A few seconds. Usually the question would not come up on data or explanation. It would be asked on the main argument. These are the two clear pointers the author is making. You should have read only these two lines. If you understood these lines, you should have stopped then and there, right here. If you did not understand that, that's when you would have read the remaining parts. The lines were very simple. If you read the newspapers regularly, you would have got what the new rules could be. Like India, we're trying to make new rules constantly. For example, ending end-to-end inscription for WhatsApp and Facebook new rules. But that's another story altogether, a little political one. Now, the point is, Prads, you say you are unable to understand this passage. Prads, the reason could be varied, but one reason that I see is that you are not comfortable with something on the topic that this article is about. The very common reason for people not being able to get something is that you're not comfortable with a specific kind of topic. Maybe technology, maybe science. If you aren't comfortable with a specific topic, you will never enjoy reading that passage and ultimately your understanding would fall. And that's exactly why I try to bring articles from a variety of topics. But if you are uncomfortable with technology and science, I would expect you to find articles on art and science. No, on science and technology from the Aeon and read them in detail. They're so detailed that they will give you a clear picture of how the industry and how the science and how the technology functions these days. So you have to identify आप कौन से टॉपिक में अनकंफर्टेबल हो. आर्ट में हो, आर्ट पे आर्टिकल्स पढ़ो एयन में से. लिटरेचर में हो, लिटरेचर पे पढ़ो. पॉलिटिक्स में हो, पॉलिटिक्स में पढ़ो. एयन is full of articles on a variety of topics. But otherwise, maybe you're not just your day to day. You don't want to read something today. That could be another reason. Okay. So I hope you have skimmed through the page. Now I'm quickly going to pass on this page and take you to here. Read this page. I'm going to ask you a question here. Now you see best regulatory and anti-monopoly measures. What are the two reasons? Regulatory is new set of rules. Anti-monopoly is reducing the power of bigger organizations. These were the two reasons given. These were the two suggestions given by the author to fix the broken internet. It still continues talking about that. Now read it. Atul, done. Thursday. We'll have fun. Aeon se. Now you see, he says, apart from regulatory and anti-monopoly measures, there's a third thing that you could follow. And that's deprivatization. Now, could you anticipate the moment author said there's another strategy, deprivatization? You could have anticipated this whole part will explain what deprivatization is. If you know the term deprivatization, you could have skimmed. What would a day on deprivatization internet look like? Again, a lot of premise here, a lot of information here which could have been skimmed. Rather, you should have left what a day on internet that's deprivatized would look like. The reason of bringing this article to teach you how to skim through Aeon as well. Aeon has very, very long articles. Do we read everything? No, we don't have to. We don't have to be bored. We don't have to read everything. So, deprivatization, it might look like a local library that runs social media and everything. It looks pretty good to us. And this is one possible future by the deprivatized internet. It's closer than you think. Some of the elements are already emerging in rudimentary form. So we see deprivatization happening. Those who suffer most from profit-driven system belong to communities that are too poor and too rural to merit the attention of the broadband monopolists. That means these monopolists are making us suffer. We need to be more careful. We need to deprivatize them. They are ignored because more money can be made elsewhere. And that's why the too poor and too rural people aren't being paid attention to by the monopolists, the broadband monopolists. Because unko pata hai the money would not come from there. And that's why fixing the internet is very, very necessary. Now I'm going to take you to the last page here. Read this one here. This paragraph, everyone. And then tell me what's the conclusion in the end. Which question are you referring to, candle power? Tell me what's the conclusion here. What's the conclusion? अतुल, कंक्लूजन क्या है पैसेज में? So the conclusion is that internet is a blessing if the power of manipulation is refused. Very good, Neha. Yes, and we can stop the world from becoming even worse by treating the internet in a manner where it helps us and limiting the power that's given to it. Yes, internet should be used not only for profit. Regulation is needed. Asking the right questions create solutions that would make the internet fairer. Absolutely. Yes, yes, Sai. Perfect. Perfect. That's the conclusion here. That we need to be asking questions. We need to be regulating things. We just can't let things be ruined and let internet make the world even worse. That's the gist of the passage. Now, your homework for today is that you write down the tone of the author of this article under my video in the comment section. The tone of the author of this article. It's an easy one. Don't answer here. I'll be checking each tone and replying to your comments. 2, I'll be bringing an Aeon article on Thursday if something better does not come up in the next 2 days in any of the newspapers. Then it's an Aeon article, very likely on philosophy. So make sure you like the session, comment under my video, share the session, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that yet. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very, very fruitful day. Work really hard. God bless all of you. Bye, everyone. Devansh? Correct. Absolutely correct. Bye, everyone.